Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. The great last dip for crypto. That's what we could be looking at, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me if I'm wrong with what I show you. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. Let me get the screen open there. Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. Look at this. Market is bleeding heavily right now. 3.84 trillion. We're off 1.6. I told you they were going to FUD this Clarity Act. Yeah, we covered it yesterday and the day before. They're going to FUD this thing. Now the whole market's dipping. And guess what BlackRock and the rest of them are doing? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're buying the dip like Daddy bought it the last 2 days too. Don't tell Mrs. Backup. I'm going to get hit with the fly swatter. You know. Bitcoin 109,000. I don't have to worry about it. My sister-in-law tell on me. Shout out to her and Kyle. I love you both. Bitcoin 109,000 plus. Ethereum 3,900. Below 4,000. What's going on here? XRP 275. We're off 2.8 on the 24. We're off 9.4 on the 7-day. Much like everything else, Ethereum's off 12.9 and Bitcoin's off 5.9 on the 7-day. Range of price between 271 and 286. I'm going to run through what I do believe points to all the fundamental things we need to know that shows that this is probably the greatest last crypto dip that we're going to see before we get legislation that totally paradigm shifts this entire space. Up until now, this entire space has been about what? Speculation. Only speculation. But we're getting the legislation necessary to unlock the door for utility, which means the largest traditional legacy financial players are coming off the sidelines to show us what they really are going to do with all of this innovation. And I can't wait, and I know you can't either. Caleb and Brown, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to wait to find out how great they are. All you got to do is click the link underneath the video or go to xrpwealth589.com and open your free account that DAI and myself have come together to make sure you can get. Listen, if you're worried about hacks, you're worried about your assets, they have institutional grade custody for free. Yes, for free. You can put it on there right now and they won't charge you a nickel. They have one flat rate and it's for buying, selling, and swapping assets. So you can use them for institutional custody and start getting the best night's sleep you've ever had in your life. But let me tell you where it gets a little better. It gets a little better because once you start talking to them, because they won't put you in a 4-week queue or a 6-week queue to answer your messages. No, no, no. If you think you've been hacked or you just want to talk to them about something you want to know more about, you can pick up the phone and call them. You can call them and talk to a real person. It's unheard of in this space. It's unmatched. And I'm telling you, people are responding in a massive tsunami of signing up and putting their assets on this platform because they understand. They understand that convenience, that ease of use is just, it takes the stress out of your life. Start getting the best night of your sleep or start getting the best night's sleep you've had since you've been in crypto and click that link underneath the video or go to xrpwealth589.com and you won't believe it. Take a look at this right here. How cool is this? Shout out to Dom and Phil Kwok, Easy A. These guys are everywhere. Are you kidding me? Look at what they're doing now. It was an amazing honor, says Dom, to be honored to be invited to meet with the SEC commissioner today. It has their purse pictured with them. When Dom and Phil founded Easy A, we never dreamed we'd be here today, having brought millions into crypto and created billions in value. But this is just the beginning, much more to come. No doubt about it. Shout out to all of them. And these guys are absolutely on fire. The things that they're doing are just remarkable. And I tell you, if you get to spend time around them, I'd say just to sit with them, your credit score goes up. It's unbelievable. I mean, these guys are amazing what they're doing. I couldn't be more proud and excited to be working alongside of them with XRP Las Vegas and everything we have planned for 2026. Oh my gracious. Our crypto futures suit just surpassed 30 billion. We know that XRP was the fastest ever contract to grow on the CME group, hitting the billion-dollar mark in just over 3 months, outpacing everything to date. So that's pretty remarkable in 2025. SEC approved the Hashdex ETF, which does include multiple altcoins like XRP and XLM. And here we see Flare launched there over a decade. XRP's powered fast and efficient settlement at scale. FXRP on Flare extends that strength and composability, opening new growth opportunities. XRP is collateral, liquidity, yield, and DeFi. And that's what happened in mass this week. Flare went live and did their thing. Midas is doing their thing. And then we see Axelar in conjunction with Midas. And guess what? Everybody hit capacity. That's how in demand these products are. This is why I have said, and you see here, 0 to 500K in under an hour. That's how in demand DeFi is for the XRP community. XRP yield launched from Onyx, 10% passive. This is what we're talking about. Now, look, all of these things come with risk. So just understand that. Be prepared. Don't put up anything more than you're willing to lose. Get to understand what the real risks truly are before you get too heavy and something happens that you weren't aware of, right? It takes time to get acclimated with these new products and new offerings, and all of them are slightly different in some cases. So make sure you spend the time to understand it. However, as I said in a Twitter space with Axelar's Georgios Vlachos and Eleanor Terrett and Dennis from Midas, and I really do believe this, we are witnessing the greatest unlock of idle liquidity in the history of digital assets. And it is because we were sued for 5 years and we couldn't pursue these things without becoming a target because we were in that case with the SEC. And now that it's over, watch out, ladies and gentlemen. And here you see here current market cap news, coin market cap news. XRP and Solana added to major US ETF as the SEC opens the floodgates. And that's what I wanted to highlight here because we already know that it was added. But the point is that they are opening the floodgates. The SEC is parting the seas so we can get to where we need to be and be a crypto leader for the world in the United States. And here is a list, and I just want to run this down, let this guy break it down. 92 crypto ETF filings are pending right now. And we know almost 20 of them at least are XRP.
The current list of crypto ETFs in the US is massive. This is the latest that I found coming from the Bloomberg expert analyst, James Seyfarth. And this is on August 28th, 2 weeks ago. So there are currently 92 line items in the backlog at the SEC. So all the Solana spot ETFs you see from Grayscale, VanEck, 21 shares, etc. Most of them are October 10th and October 16th. These are the final deadlines. So next month, Solana ETFs, Solana spot ETFs will come. Most likely this is going to happen. However, this is not exclusive to Solana like I was saying in the beginning, because look at the XRP ETFs, they are all around the same week as well. And the Doge ETF, we have the HBAR ETF, the final deadlines are about in November. Then shortly after that, we will have Polkadot, AVAX, Chainlink. Basically, all of these expedited fast track ETF candidates will get to have their ETF approvals like month after month, starting.
And there you have it right there. And shout out to that gentleman, Virtual Bacon, for bringing that to us. It is a great reminder that the SEC has streamlined the process. And it does look like we could see just waves of ETFs for XRP and others approved at the drop of a hat with the push of a button, just an announcement. So this is why I'm saying the greatest last crypto dip could be right now. Could be right now. If we get that legislation done by the end of the year, that's what this moment is. Most people won't recognize that until we're well beyond this moment. And then they'll look back on a chart and go, oh, see, that was the bottom, right before it took off. So ask yourself, what's going to happen with these 92 ETFs? They're not going to appeal. They're not going to approve these things. But yet the SEC is streamlining the process to do exactly that, to approve them. Okay. All right. I'm placing my bet. Meanwhile, so's BlackRock. They're placing their bet. BlackRock files for a Bitcoin premium income ETF. Unlike their spot ETF, This fund aims to generate yield through covered call options on Bitcoin futures, a game changer for income-focused crypto investors. Well, guess what? What this means is more paper products sold on top of the underlying asset. Where do we see that done? In the rest of the traditional markets. That's where we see that done. There's way more paper products traded on top of gold and silver than there ever will be gold and silver traded. That's what the traditional financial system is. It's just paper products traded on top of paper products. You're starting to see layers of maturity being brought into the financial system for these digital assets, brought from the financial system on top of these digital assets, I should say. That's why I'm super excited. And if BlackRock's excited, I'm stacking my pennies next to their dollars. That's how I do it. Now let's turn the focus to stable coins. Jim Rickards brings up a good point here about stablecoins not being audited. Of course, highlighted underneath it is from Mr. Man, rightfully so, is Paulo Ardoino from Tether. Shout out to Mr. Man. Give that guy a follow. Let's listen. And I want to actually bring this in here about halfway here. You'll get the picture.
Everybody wants his money back. That's it. And so when that happens, these stablecoin holders are going to call their sponsors and say, "Give me my dollars. I want out. I want to get dollars right now." The Federal Reserve Bank of New York open market desk only deals with approved banks. They're called primary dealers. These are the market makers in the U.S. Treasury market. I was counsel and chief credit officer at one of the primary dealers for 10 years. I talk to the Fed every day. I understand this market in depth. Is the Treasury bill market the most liquid securities market in the world? Yes, it is, but it's not unlimited. Try selling $1 trillion of Treasury bills in one day. Good luck. They're going to shut the market. And so when you get this run on the bank, it's a classic run on the bank, probably accelerated by AI. But when you get this run on the stablecoin bank, these are what they are, Danielle. It's not complicated. They're basically unregulated money market funds. What happened to money market funds in October 2008? They froze up. The Fed bailed them out. They bailed out the commercial paper market and the money market funds. They broke the buck, and because they couldn't sell they had Treasury bills, but they also had CDs. This is a General Electric, who's the biggest issuer of commercial paper. They had commercial paper, CDs, etc. They couldn't sell them fast enough to pay off the claims. The market froze up, and the Fed bailed them out. Now, is the Fed going to bail out the stablecoin market? I don't think so. So you're going to have a financial panic of unprecedented proportions. The Treasury market is going to seize up, not because of China or Russia or anybody else, but because stablecoin sponsors are going to be selling treasuries to get cash to pay off claims, and they're not going to be able to do it.
Wow. That makes
There you have it. But we know we have the Genius Act in place that is going to regulate these entities. That's why Tether has to launch a USAT digital dollar, because they had to appoint Bo Hines as a CEO for that, because that'll be a digital dollar launched clean here in the United States because Tether is so corrupt. That's the bottom line to that. But I want to remind people of this right here. Take a listen to this.
Stablecoin. How does this fit into Ripple's vision for payments? Is it something different, or it's a puzzle piece into the grander picture?
It's definitely a puzzle piece in the grander picture. To put maybe a little macro context around it, Ripple has been using stablecoins in our payment flows for years, and you've used Tether, we've used USDC. There's actually a point in time where our institutional flows represented 20. Because of that, we were minting 20% of all USDC, and so we're kind of looking at that. And then we look at what happened during the banking crisis, where USDC depegged by 7%. And, I kind of came to the conclusion there's an opportunity here, given that we are driving a lot of activity, a lot of velocity, a lot of liquidity, and the fact, frankly, that we have a very strong balance sheet, that we felt like there's an opportunity for Ripple to play in this market.
And I would love to start with RLUSD stablecoin.
Let me pause.
How does this fit into Ripple's vision for payments? Is it something different, or it's a puzzle piece into the grander?
There we go. All right, sorry about the overlap, but nonetheless, I'm showing that because they were responsible for 20% of USD Circle. And remember, Circle lost the peg. Why would Brad Garlinghouse bring up Circle losing the peg? Because Brad Garlinghouse knows that they'll never lose the peg because they can underpin their peg of real USD with XRP. And guess what? That's the vision, not just to underpin real USD with XRP. That's the vision for the US digital dollar. It is to eventually get enough liquidity inside and on the XRP ledger to provide the value of an XRP token to such a level that it can become the underlying asset backing the US dollar. And you could do it by putting reserves from every sector of the economy on the ledger. And those reserves represent the value of the XRP token, which can underpin the US dollar. This is where I believe we're going. And that's why I believe we're in the last great dip for crypto, because I believe the Genius Act, the Market Infrastructure Bill, and the tax bill, it all has to pass because they don't care if we get rich, because they care about buying shoes for their kids too. And you need dollars for that. And that ain't changing. So the reality is Congress is in the same boat we're in. If they don't want to act like it, that's fine. But the reality is they know it. And I believe they know it. And here's Sistine Research. We covered this yesterday. The compression on the chart is very, very tight. You could see. We see more sideways movement talk happening about capitulation, getting a lot of people asking me about capitulation scenario from Credible Crypto. XRP have already replied to like 5 different comments about it. So posting this, so I don't need to keep replying to everyone individually. Basically what he's saying here is we need to zoom out, basically. And this is exactly what's important about zooming out and consider context at all times. When we zoom out, this structure is the structure in the orange circle, which is bullish, right? How small it is, it's still bullish. And the reality is we could drop all the way down to 240 and touch that, which is outside the 265 channel that we've been looking at. However, that could happen. But do you believe that we're not going to get the legislation necessary? I tell you, I don't have a problem with it. Everything that's happening right now is a part of the great last crypto dip. And I'm doing everything I can to buy it. And it's not financial advice from me or anyone else. I agree right here with DAI. He said, this is all I think about while I buy XRP dips. Please stay at these prices for a little longer. I want more. You see the current market cap. You see the charts, you see it all, and I'm in the same place. Agreed. I just bought the dip twice in as many days. Load up and lock in. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. Are you going to buy the greatest crypto dip? The last great crypto dip before we get legislation and everything else that is in front of us. I'll catch all of you on the next one.